What's up guys? Welcome to the second video in my How to Learn series. And this one is going to talk about an issue that a lot of you seem to be having, which is that you're learning too many things at once. For example, I had someone named Aeromax reach out and say, I try to learn too many things at the same time and end up learning a little about a lot of topics, but I don't ever master a single one. And I have other people like this person and this person and this person all say similar things. So it's pretty clear this is a big common struggle. And honestly, I don't blame you, because in the modern environment, when there's so much information available to us, like Wikipedia, for example, we just get so curious because there's always things to learn. So how do you pick one thing and how do you commit to one thing? And honestly, this is something that I used to struggle with when I was a young girl as well, where I would just try to learn way too many things at once. And I think they call it like a jackass of all trades or something. You never want to be a jackass of all trades, because you can never be good at anything. And in fact, you never want to be a jackass, period. But you get the point. And fundamentally, I realized that there's generally three main reasons why people can't commit to one thing. And in this video, I really want to talk about each single one of those issues and break it down so we can talk about it and talk about how you can overcome them. Alright, so the first reason that you might be struggling with this is because you truly don't actually want to learn this thing. I often see that people learn things because of FOMO, right? Like, you hear someone talking that crypto is the next big thing and you have to learn it, or machine learning is the next big thing, or, God knows what. Like, something is the next big thing and you heard that you have to learn it, so you are trying to learn this thing. But you truly don't actually want to learn this for yourself. Another reason that you might be learning something is because you have like shiny object syndrome, where you read a bunch of Wikipedia pages or blog posts of other people telling you that this is such a cool topic, or maybe on the surface it sounds really cool, but as soon as you get a little bit into it, you're like, oh, this is not what I thought it was, so you give up. And FOMO and shiny object syndrome are real problems, and they fundamentally come from the fact that you actually haven't thought about whether you truly want to learn this thing. So personally, before I dive heads deep into learning something new, I like to ask myself three questions. One is, why do I actually want to learn this thing? Is it just something I'm passionate about? Or is it something I want to turn into a career? Or is it something that maybe will help me make more money, or whatever it is? Like, what is the fundamental reason I want to learn this thing? The second thing I like to ask myself is, am I suitable to actually learn this thing? If I spend, a year, 2 years, 5 years learning this thing, am I going to be good at this? Do I have the right skill sets, the right brain, the right body, whatever it is, to actually learn this thing? Or am I going to be at some kind of significant disadvantage? For example, me wanting to go learn how to sing is honestly probably going to be a waste of time, because I just don't have the voice. Like, that's kind of a God-given ability. And so you really want to think about whether this is the right skill for you. And the third question I like to ask myself is, like, what is the goal with this skill? Like, what is the goal a year from now? What is the goal 2 years from now? What is the goal 5 years from now? Because really, when you have a strong goal, then it gives you a reason to commit to something. And you can't have a strong goal if you haven't thought about the original purpose for why you want to learn this thing. So all these things are kind of intertwined, where, you really have to start with the why. And the why gives you a sense of, like, what are your goals with this? And then goals help you commit to one thing. If you don't have the why, then you can't set the goals, and then you can't commit. Another reason why you might be struggling to commit is honestly because you're scared of it. We all know how easy it is to get started on things, but it takes a lot of courage to actually keep going. Because when you keep going in something, you realize how hard it actually is. And this is when fear starts to set in. And so usually if people are hopping from one thing to the next, it's because they're honestly just scared of it. And there's actually this amazing graph, which I always like to look back to whenever I'm learning something brand new. And it's a graph that I found on the internet, and it's adopted from Hobson. where, when there's a life event, like a new event, there's different phases that we go through. The first phase is like the excitement phase. And then we go through the honeymoon phase. And then we start to have all these inner contradictions where we have uncertainty, we lose confidence, we're confused, we're depressed. And then eventually by the 6-month mark, we've hit a crisis. And this is where a lot of people end up giving up. They don't even get to the 6-month mark and they end up giving up because they think that they're not good enough, they're not smart enough, or whatever it is, and they hop to the next thing. To be totally real with you guys, I'm going through this phase right now because I'm about 4 months into my belly dance journey, and I'm at that phase where I'm starting to lose confidence. I'm having a lot of contradictions because the more I learn about belly dance, the more I'm realizing that the less I know. Because, I learned a certain style in America. Now that I'm in Cairo, I'm seeing that there's so much more to belly dance than I thought there was. So I was getting like kind of good at one part of belly dance, but I'm realizing that that's only like 1% of all of belly dance. There's like 99% more that I still have to learn. And of course that's going to be discouraging to me because, the amount of time I thought I would take to learn this thing, now 10x. It's not going to take me just 9 months to learn something. It's going to take me like 9 years to learn this thing. And so, of course, I'm going through that phase, and I just have to recognize it for what it is, in the sense that this happens to everyone. And it's the people who can stick through this phase that really, really make it big. And as soon as you accept this for what it is and you realize this, then you just kind of embrace it. Like right now, I'm just really embracing the fact that I feel like crap and I feel like I still haven't made as much headway as I want to make. But I know that if I just stay committed to my goals, eventually I'll break through this kind of crisis period I'm going to go through. And I know that this crisis period is not going to end anytime soon. I'm only at the 4-month mark. I still have probably a few more months and this will only get worse. But I know that if I just keep pushing through, eventually I'll have a new breakthrough and I'll get kind of a little bit more confident again. And look, this happens over and over and over again. You're not just gonna, continue to peak forever. Like people go through these kinds of waves and no matter what they learn. So every time you hit a fear point, just realize it for what it is and just keep pushing and be in that 1%. So another reason that you might be struggling to stick to one thing is because you get bored of it. And I've had a few people actually say this, where they said, I get bored very easily whenever I try to learn anything new. And this is not the only comment that said that. I've had a bunch of DMs also say the same thing, where you get bored of it until you move on to the next thing. And let's just start off by saying that, the human mind loves novelty. Look at a child, for example. Look at a child play. They'll hop from one toy to the next, and within seconds, they'll get bored and move on to the next thing. I remember when my brother was young, he would be like obsessed about getting one thing, and then as soon as he got it, he'd get, play with it for a day, and then he'd get bored of it, and then he'd move on to the next thing, and then he'd move on to the next thing, and he'd keep doing this. And this is what children do. Like, children are very curious, and this is like just the natural human instinct. But as an adult, we realize that to do anything meaningful, we have to actually stick to something for a long enough period of time, which means that we have to kind of grind through that boring period. We have to just grind through the boredom. And to do that, you have to have discipline. So oftentimes when people tell me that they're bored of something and they're moving on to the next thing, it tells me one of two things. One is that they don't actually truly want to learn this thing. So this goes to the first point I was saying, where there's not really a clear purpose for why they're learning this thing, and so they're not willing to push through that boredom. Or secondly, they don't have the discipline to actually push through that boredom. And I created a video about discipline earlier, and this is something I think a lot of people lack. So if you're one of these people who get bored really easily and you want to keep moving on to the next thing, I'd say, really think about whether you want to learn this thing. And if you do want to learn this thing, realize that boredom is going to happen no matter what. You're going to go through boring periods of learning something. And really, you just have to grind through. You just have to grow the discipline and grind through the boredom. Because once again, only 1% of people are going to be willing to grind through that boredom and get really good at something. So do you want to be in that 1%, or do you want to be in the 99% of the people who just give up and go on to the next shiny thing? I think you probably want to be in the 1%. Hey guys, so I'm trying something new where I actually record the ending after I finish editing the video because it gives me a better sense of what I want to say. And really, I just want to close off by saying one thing, which is that when you are learning a new skill, you don't have to worry about picking one skill for the rest of your life because we live in a day and age where you can learn something new and build a new career almost every 2 to 5 years. So it's okay to be curious and to be explorative and, do new things in your life. You don't want to maybe be stuck with the same thing for the rest of your life. But don't be one of those people that hops around every 2 to 3 months either, because then you're just really going to get nowhere. At least stick to something for somewhere between 2 to 5 years because it takes that long to get any good at something. And then maybe if you get bored of it at that point, then you can consider switching to another thing. So that's all I have to say in this video. I hope you found it helpful. Let me know in the comments how I can make these videos better for you. I know last time a few people said that the music was too loud, so I made it a little bit quieter this time. And I'm hoping to make these videos better and better each week. And I did set my content schedule, so I'm going to be publishing one video every Monday, so look out for that. Either Monday mornings or evenings, I'll figure that out. But look out for the next video next Monday. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. So all these kind of things are intertwined, so all these things are kind of commingled. And so whenever I'm trying to figure out and so the way I typically like to overcome this is before I dive heads down, and so, God, fuck, and so I can't talk. Okay, and so we just thought. And so that's, and so, oh my God, what the fuck? Okay, and so, are you fucking kidding me? I really actually can't talk right now. And I can't stop, are you ready? Ready for me?